Hello, everybody. My name is Bricky. A happy Monday to you today. It is, I believe, recording this at 10:06 a.m. March, is it the 8th? It is, I do believe, the 8th. Oh my goodness, this month has been going by a little bit faster than I expected. It's actually a little bit faster than I'd like, too. I actually need to get working on my main channel video about gaming mods. But in the background, you have a little bit of Cold War Zombies, which I'm just playing just kind of casually, just to enjoy myself because, like I said in my Cold War Zombies video on the main channel, it's not bad. It's just, lacks personality, which in a sense, a thing that lacks personality but isn't bad is perfect background gameplay footage, for being totally truthful. So today we have a question from wonderful Mini Will over in the Q&A questions on Discord. Thank you all so much for your inputs, by the way. And he says, how do you keep yourself motivated even though you are the only person to push yourself? You know, that answer, or that question, has a few different kinds of answers to it. There's actually about 2 to 3 answers to that particular one. It all depends on what time of my life that you're actually asking that question in. So for instance, in the beginning, way back when I was about 19 years old and I started this YouTube channel, the reason and the thing that made make me push myself was a kind of constant feeling of success and something to fill the void in the fact that I was no longer doing my old stuff. Because a lot of you may remember, I can make another video about this story if you'd like, but I used to be an EMT. I worked on an ambulance. I started doing videos, asked my boss for a raise. He said no, I quit. And then I started doing this full time from there. Way too early, mind you. I began YouTube way too early, and I would not recommend this to anybody else who does this. I'm a success story in that retrospect, but there are thousands of people who are not. It's like a rock band, you know. There's tons of bands that just never get anywhere. So I would warn against that wholeheartedly. But at the time, I had spent my life since 13 years old wanting to become a firefighter, and that dream was kind of self-imposed, but also just due to the environment of working there, basically gone. That entire dream that won for it was pretty much shattered. And it was my decision to shatter it, but it certainly gave me this feeling of worthlessness that I spent so much of my life working towards one goal and then immediately dropped it all for a pipe dream. I mean, a pipe dream that paid off, but a pipe dream regardless. And I think that's one thing that I tend to tell a lot of people, especially my girlfriend, who is a licensed cosmetologist, but she's no longer doing any kind of cosmetology stuff. She's no longer doing hair or nails or any of that kind of thing. She doesn't work at a shop anymore because she realized how much she hates working for people, which I completely understand. Any kind of thing where you're working with the public, we all know, whether it's retail, food, service, or something like that, like a salon, people are straight terrible. And she's struggling with the exact same feeling of like, I spent all this time, I went to school, I did all this stuff, and I'm not using it anymore. It feels like I wasted my life. And I had that exact same feeling for many years of my life. Granted, going from 13 to 19 years old, well, it may be 6 years, it's 6 years of high school and stuff. So it doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot because whatever, it didn't really take a whole lot besides just going through things like training and going on fire ride-alongs. But at the time, it was attempting to fill that gap. I was trying to fill that void that was left in the fact that I swapped professions, so to speak. And then as time went on, eventually the thing that motivated the most and pushed myself, in the beginning, it started also being bills. You know, like I'm doing this own thing. I need to make money. And then it became, after bills, it became goals. It became, hey, down payment for a home. That's like at the way back when I was 21 or so. Like, hey, that's something I want to do because I don't want to rent an apartment. So I asked my parents if I could stay with them for longer. And they said yes. And then that was the next major goal. And after that, we immediately went straight into the concept of like personal intrigue. It became numbers, it became views, became all that kind of stuff. And then it became money again because, you know, there's always money. They always say that, you know, money doesn't buy happiness. And that's half true. That's true after you reach a certain point, but it staves off a lot of unhappiness. Absolutely. When eventually my goal became the concept that I no longer needed to look at my bank account when my bills were coming in. I no longer needed to look at my bank account to make sure that I could make ends. And eventually it became, I could then go out to eat and not have to feel the pain of a bill. I could tip well and make the person who served me, if they, served me well, really happy because I could tip a decent amount. And, after a certain point, like I mentioned earlier, like once you are content with things like bills and stuff, it staves off a lot of unhappiness. As time goes on, once you make a certain amount, making more money doesn't really change anything. It's more like the goal that you're trying to reach, right? Which might, cost something in that sense. Like, oh, if I want to, remodel the backyard, I want to build a trench and make have a fountain that's going to cost me money, that kind of thing. That's a story for it. I think that's a different topic. But after that, it became that goal I put ahead of myself. And then the next goal that I put ahead of myself. And I think really there have been many times in which I've had a lull where I haven't really been able to work very well because I see that my videos aren't doing very well. For instance, let me actually pull open my YouTube channel right now. See, obviously way back when I used to do many different kinds of videos, different kinds of guides, different kinds of daily content and so on. But then eventually after some time, when certain videos start to really, really do well, it makes me quite excited and happy. Example, for way back when I made a video on, Darkwood. And that video only got like 20,000 views, give or take. And it really was not that fantastic in the sense of like the starting views were not very good. The Warhammer videos did very well in the beginning, which made me really excited. But then as time went on, I was like, oh, wow, this Darkwood video is starting to get quite a few views. And then the Deathslinger case file did, and the Dead by Daylight review started doing really well. And then things just kind of started to increase and grow and do better and better in terms of views. And it started to really surprise me with how they were really kind of building themselves up. And so my Apex video I released just a bit ago is currently sitting at 146,000. And that specifically really makes me interested in working harder because as videos and views start to increase, it makes you want to create more because then you want to keep getting that feeling of success. Ironically, a lot of times money in its own right is not the motivating factor, but the feeling of success. If I didn't have to raise or save money in order to buy something expensive and I could work for it, and the idea of like community service or something, or I had to complete some other task, which I guess, you do work for money, but you get the point. Something like that. Like it's not about just the idea of dollars coming in. It's about what I can, what kind of goal I'm reaching for. Like, I don't particularly find things like a subscriber milestone to be very important. I find even though it does make me motivated, I find more things like, hey, by working on these videos, I'm now having a consistent stream of content, like this video every single Monday. I'm sticking to it. I'm maintaining a solid, like personal, not obedience, but it's becoming a real rhythm. I'm becoming disciplined in what I'm trying to work on. And it makes me feel pretty good. It allows me to really feel like I'm working towards something. And luckily, it doesn't all entirely mean financial. When you work towards something, it also is me looking behind me and seeing all the different kinds of Warhammer figures that I currently have painted and being really proud of how far I've gone with all of these figures, being really proud of the effort that I put into, seeing my paint jobs increase. Honestly, with no one around there to motivate me, except for, my girlfriend right now, who does a pretty good job at motivating me at times, even though I also, I motivate her. It's a back and forth thing. That's what relationships are. But with no one around to motivate me, the thing that I keep doing for myself is the promise of the next big accomplishment. It's finishing that Necron army. It's finishing that video. Personally, I hate editing. I think editing my videos is very boring, way too time consuming, and honest to God, painful. But I do it regardless and every time because the end result is good. Ask anybody who works in the creative field, a sculptor, an artist, a person who creates artwork online, and we can all agree that the process of creating the art will make it look ugly for 99% of you creating it, but it isn't until that final touch. It isn't until you can finally call it done when you can be proud of it, because the entire time, whether you're painting a figure, drawing a painting, or working on an online emote, whatever the hell you're doing, it will look like crap the entire time until it's finally complete. And that right there, I think, is one of the main things that drives me, is keeping that mental image, that feeling of completion. It's finishing up a full video and being really proud of it. I am so proud of that Outer Wilds video. I am so proud of it. It's like the least viewed video I have in the past weeks, months, but I really am happy with the actual product of it. It makes me feel good. And that alone is a feeling that I think really works. But then it goes into, I can work towards another goal, trying to move out. I can work towards putting money in a SEP IRA or a 401k, things that'll really assist me in the future. Stuff like that keeps me up. It keeps me going. And, I honestly, it's just the concept that the goal itself is more important. The journey is tough and working on stuff is tough. But being able to consistently push myself to remember that feeling of a finished product, that feeling of being done, is enough to keep me rolling. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening to me talk on this next little Monday thing. If you're a patron, you're able to ask questions. I think after like a certain tier, you're able to ask questions in the Discord. If you'd like your question answered here or at the end of a main video, let me know. For all of you who are part of my patronage or on the YouTube memberships, thank you so much. And your name should be on the screen. I will see you next Monday. And I hope you're excited for this week. We'll be finishing up the last episode of BioShock. And more importantly and funly, we'll be uploading Cursed Halo, which is going to be a great playthrough. All right. Bye-bye.